Hi, this is Jeffrey Kurt Financial Group. Today is Thursday, August 21, 2025. We're doing a video out of our normal schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I want to cover the topic of tariffs. And certainly tariffs are a controversial topic today in both the investment world as well as in the country. But I came across some information that I wanted to share with everybody because I think having more information as we make investment decisions is pretty critical. So again, there's a lot of people, tariffs are a tax on the consumer and that's bad, and others, it's good because of onshoring and like that. But I think one of the things, that I've come across, that Goldman Sachs is doing a, periodical tariff report, and there's some interesting information in there. So let's begin with, I'll put up the charts here. One is all of the goods coming out of China, and you can see that the prices come down. So, from this point, that, the importer and the exporter, the manufacturer in China has reduced their prices to adjust for the tariffs. So the consumer, at this, for these Chinese goods are not feeling the price increases yet. The second graph shows autos from Japan and other exporters, or where we import from, and they too adjusted prices lower. So, I don't think this is going to be, going to stay a constant. And certainly, maybe more price declines depending on tariffs. Maybe some of it gets passed along, but I think it's interesting that initially the importer and the foreign manufacturer taking that price bite. Now, on the other parts of the report is that the consumer is getting some of a price increase, and I think that is 22% by Goldman Sachs estimate. 14% is by the consumer, and 64% is by the U.S. business taking the hit on that price increase and eating that the cost price increase in order to keep the price relatively close to what the consumer pays. And again, I think this points towards that there's not one blanket way that this is going to be dealt with by the exporter, by the importer, and by the U.S. retailer or manufacturer that's using that imported good. There's just too many other variables that I think that go into this thing. I would expect that there's some price increases may happen, but I think then the consumer will look for alternatives. Or if the price gets up so much, the consumer is going to stop buying that product and look for a substitute. Now, these things happen. This is kind of economics 101, that there are substitutes or they just do without. There's a history of all this stuff, and that's what I kind of expect is there'll be some maybe some price increases, but the retailers and the businesses looking to sell have to figure out a way that the price increase doesn't damage their market share. So again, I think there's a lot to do with this. There's going to be a lot more developments as this plays out. But I wanted to share just a couple of thoughts with on the tariffs, because I think there's just these two extremes, that tariffs are ugly and terrible and shouldn't be in place, and then others, yes, great, and look at it's going to be all benefits to the U.S. I think there's just a lot of in between, and I think that's how ultimately the market is going to play this out in terms of buyers and sellers and consumers and retailers. Hopefully that helps. Give us any feedback on this. Appreciate it. Thank you for listening. We'll be back on Friday with a preview of Powell's speech. I think he does that midday. And then also, looking forward to NVIDIA, some thoughts on that too. Thank you again. Goodbye.